Good morning, I'm Giovanni Jose Fajardo Matos, and this is my defense of my internship project that was about the translation of the ISO 13485 standard for the Odontocea Clinical Dental Center in Lecheria, Sansuatec State. Odontocea is a clinical center specialized in dental health that offers its services to improve the smile of its clients. The Odontocea company began offering its services from 2018 with all the best quality medical equipment for the benefit of the dental health of its patients. The Odontocea offices are located on Principal de Lecherías Avenue, Classic Center Mall, first floor, local 11. It goes from the head of the clinical center, then we have the medical equipment engineer, the administrator, and last but not least, there is the dentist, cleaning staff, and cashier. At the top of this chart is the general management department, and then we have other 4 departments like medical equipment manager, coordination manager, supervision manager, and administration manager. The Odontocea company focuses its business on the oral medical care of the highest level for its patients. These oral services require high-cost medical devices that need to keep a certain level of maintenance. The company, by constantly making use of these medical devices, is obliged to be aware of the ISO 13485 standard that specifies the requirements of a quality management system when an organization needs to demonstrate its ability to provide medical devices and related services. If the ISO 13485 standard is not translated, the company could face serious legal consequences by putting the health of its patients at a high risk due to possible technical failures or poisoning by corrode products, thus causing losses to the company and third parties. General objective is to translate the ISO 13485 standard that specifies the requirements of a quality management system when an organization needs to demonstrate its ability to provide medical devices and related services. Specific objectives. First, to analyze the ISO 13485 standard in its source language, English. Second, to determine the appropriate method for the correct translation of the ISO 13485 standard. And third, to apply the selected type of translation in its source language, English, to Spanish, that is the target language, of the ISO 13485 standard. In this table is shown the plan of activities carried out for the Odontocea company. Activities: induction by the company. Analyze the ISO 13485 standard content to apply the corresponding type of translation. Third, select the type of translation required to the ISO 13485 standard. Fourth, study the terms to use for the translation. Start the ISO 13485 standard translation. Verify the ISO 13485 standard translation. Finish the ISO 13485 standard translation. And last, delivery of translated ISO 13485 standard. In this table can be seen the plan of activities performed during the 8 weeks of internship. Detailed activity description of the first activity. Explanation about every aspect of the company, its charges, department, and objectives. Achievement achieved. Acquire basic knowledge about the Odontocea company. Second, read and analyze the ISO 13485 standard to select the type of translation. Achievements. Acquire knowledge related to the ISO. Third, choose which type of translation to utilize after analyzing the text. Experience for future decisions at the time of choosing a type of translation. Fourth, to examine the distinctive special terms to utilize at the time to translate the ISO 13485 standard. Achievements achieved. acquire knowledge about new special terms of the subject. Fifth, begin with the ISO 13485 standard translation, implementing the methods, techniques, and terms previously analyzed. Translate a legal document as the ISO 13485 standard is. Sixth, the ISO 13485 standard translation will be reviewed to search for the possible mistakes that can create misunderstanding. The achievement was to learn from my mistakes. Seventh, end the ISO 13485 standard translation using the techniques and methods established after the possible mistakes correction. Achievement, correct the translation and finishes. And for the last activity, to make delivery of the already reviewed ISO 13485 standard translation to the business tutor. An achievement to deliver the ISO 13485 standard fully translated. The ISO 13485 standard translation was achieved for the Odontosia company thanks to the knowledge acquired in the next signatures. Translation 1. Application of technical translation type in the ISO 13485 standard translation. Translation 2. Application of the literal translation and adaptation techniques in the ISO 13485 standard translation. And third, application of the legal translation technique in the ISO 13485 standard translation. Theoretical. To know deeper about the ISO. To really know how a dental clinic center works and the services they give to society. And third, to learn more about the ISO 13485 standard and its importance. Practical. To translate a legal document through the application of translation skills acquired throughout the modern languages career English mentioned. In this slide can be seen some of my work. This is the translation of the ISO 13485 standard from English to Spanish. After analyzing the text, it can be said that for any type of text, for a translation of any type of text, a high knowledge of translation is required, and also being familiar with the subject in question for a better handling of terms. Translating a legal document such as the ISO 13485 standard requires a very respectful translation of the original work, keeping everything as faithful as possible without many alterations. Finally, a business such as an oral medical center requires the services of experts in the English language for the correct translation of such fundamental texts as, in this case, the ISO 13485 standard. Now, these are my recommendations. First, for the Odontosia company, enable an English training course for the staff who most need this knowledge, and in the case of new employees, require a minimum level of proficiency in the language for a better translation of text. And now, this is my suggestion to Jutsu. Give more attention to translation classes with better evaluation techniques and more classes per quarter in order to achieve better results in the area of translation. And that's it. That was my defense. I hope you like it.